Kia ora students, here is the next instalment in how to write a written text essay, and this is all about how to actually choose your questions. So if you feel confident in that, you can move right along to the next essay where the next tutorial where we plan the essay. Okay, so here are some examples of questions that you might see in the exam. So the first one, describe a key moment or event in a written text you have studied. Explain why this moment was important. Well, a key moment in Dulce et Decorum Est would be when the soldier dies, and that's in that kind of middle stanza or verse. It's kind of another way of saying paragraph, but when you're dealing with poetry, you say stanza. And explain why this is important. Well, I think it would be quite easy to come up with lots of reasons why that is important. Like, for example, it shocks the reader, it introduces us to the realities of war, for example. So that definitely is a possibility. All right, next one. Describe one challenge faced by a character or individual. Explain why this challenge helped you understand the character or individual. This word is really important right here. Now, you could argue that the soldier is a character, but I would say that you don't have much to go on in this poem because it's very brief. And the challenge is that either he dies from being gassed, or if you're talking about the character who's narrating it, the challenge is that he witnesses this death. And because it's such a brief moment, we can't really say that it helped us understand the character. So I think that in this case, this would not be appropriate. Okay, next one. Describe at least one idea that was worth learning about in a written text you've studied. Explain why you thought that this idea was worth learning about. There's definitely one very key idea in this poem, and that is that it is not good to die for your country. That is what Wilfred Owen is saying. So again, this could be a good one to do, especially if you had, say, you'd done this poem in class and you'd been taught all about the ideas in the poem. Okay, finally, describe at least one way in which setting was used in a written text you have studied. Explain why the setting was important. Now, this one has a lot of potential. If you think about it, the whole purpose of this essay is exposing the setting of war. So this is the example that I'm going to use for this tutorial. However, this one could work for this poem, and so could this one. So you can see that you actually could have a lot of options here. It's all about working out what is right for you. But that setting question, that's the one we're going to work on for this tutorial. I'm going to break it down now in this same tutorial. Okay, describe at least one way in which setting was used in an extended text you have studied. Explain why the setting was important. Now, if you remember from our film tutorials, describe, that is going to happen naturally. You don't need to stress too much about that, because every time you put a quote from the written text, whether it be a novel, a short story, a poem, every time you put a quote, you are describing it. This is very important, this word here. If it asks you to talk about setting, you have to talk about setting. And as you can see down here, there are different kinds of setting. Time of day or year, place, whether that's the kitchen or the backyard, geographic location like China, and an event, for example, World War I. See, I've got that written there. Okay, so different kinds of setting, very important. Sorry, that should just say written text, not extended text. Okay, explain why the setting was important. Why? Now you will see when we do our plan that as long as you do a clear plan, and as long as you, in your essay, write an explanation that is clear, you will do this. Okay, it's very hard not to explain it as long as you're being thorough. This is important, obviously. It's the word, important. Why is the setting important? That is basically what this question boils down to. What's the setting like, and why is it so important? Okay, so that is how I've rephrased it here. This is the statement or question that I've rewritten for myself. So, why is the setting of World War I important? That's what the poem is about. It's about World War I. It's about exposing the setting of World War I. Why does that matter? Why has Wilfred Owen done that? So in the next tutorial, you'll see the 3 reasons, which is one for each paragraph, that I've come up with that show why this setting is so important. Congratulations! Remember, it's really important to pause, rewind, fast forward, write down notes and ask questions. Now you should go and select your own question for your practice essay and then break that question down and work out what it is actually asking you before you watch the tutorial PowerPoint. So then you'll be ready to rock and roll and write your own, did I just say the tutorial PowerPoint? The planning PowerPoint. So then you'll be ready to make your own plan.